Just 3 words. That's all it takes for subtle slips in everyday conversation to unveil someone's true desires and hidden agenda. Carl Jung, after devoting decades to unraveling the intricate workings of the human mind, made a groundbreaking discovery. The unconscious mind is utterly incapable of deception. It inherently leaks truth, much like water relentlessly finds its way through the smallest cracks in a dam. Specifically, 3 particular words function as veritable trapdoors, opening unexpectedly to expose genuine intentions. Once you master the art of recognizing these linguistic cues, every conversation will sound profoundly different. You'll instinctively discern falsehoods before they're fully articulated, perceive concealed motives in even the most casual exchanges, and understand what people truly seek from you long before they consciously realize it themselves. This is because the unconscious operates without the pretense of politeness. Its sole imperative is to reveal the truth. So, why does language so often betray us? Jung theorized that words serve as a vital bridge between 2 distinct internal realms. One is the persona, the carefully constructed mask you present to the world, embodying the pleasant, courteous, and agreeable version of yourself that aligns with others' expectations. Yet, beneath this polished exterior resides the shadow, a repository of your authentic thoughts, buried fears, and unvarnished motivations. Most individuals strive to keep this shadow firmly locked away, smiling when appropriate and uttering the right sentiments at the opportune moment. However, the shadow adamantly refuses to remain silent. It tirelessly seeks escape routes. Its preferred egress is via 3 deceptively simple words, habitually used by most people every day, entirely without conscious thought. These words appear innocuous, blending seamlessly into normal dialogue, yet they are potent psychological tells. Once you're attuned to them, you'll begin to hear them everywhere. Jung developed a technique called word association to explore this phenomenon. He would present a word to his patients, who would then respond with the first thought that entered their minds. The ensuing delay offered crucial insights, and the choice of words revealed even more. He came to understand that certain words functioned as keys, unlocking the unconscious and bringing to light what individuals were concealing, even from themselves. Time and again, when people attempted to obscure their true intentions, these 3 specific words surfaced, not obscure or sophisticated terms, but common words you encounter a dozen times daily. This very ordinariness is what makes them so dangerous. They hide in plain sight. But now, you are about to uncover their authentic meaning, and this newfound knowledge will fundamentally alter your perception. Let's begin with the first word, which functions as an eraser. This word is but. You encounter it constantly. You've likely uttered it yourself today. Yet most people overlook its profound impact. Every single time someone employs the word but, they effectively nullify everything that preceded it. Observe this mechanism in action. When someone says, "I love you, but," or "I respect you, but," or "I want to help, but," what becomes of the initial sentiment? It vanishes, erased. The word but wipes it clean, like a marker on a whiteboard, signaling that the first part was merely a pretense. The genuine truth is delivered immediately after the but. Jung would describe this as the persona cracking open. The speaker begins with a socially acceptable statement, "I love you," "I respect you," a performance by the masked. But then, the shadow asserts itself. The word but marks the precise instant the unconscious assumes control, revealing, "Here's what I actually think." Consider a case study that vividly illustrates this pattern. We often observe this dynamic in the story of a woman whose partner told her, "I think you're talented, but you need to work harder." What was the implicit message? He was communicating that she wasn't truly talented. The initial compliment was mere window dressing. The but delivered the unvarnished reality. Everything preceding the but was discarded. Or reflect on this narrative illustration drawn from relationship counseling scenarios. A partner declares, "I love you, but you're too sensitive." The unspoken translation. They don't cherish your authentic self. They prefer a sanitized version of you, one that doesn't react, doesn't feel deeply, and remains quiet and unobtrusive. The but is the truth seeping out. The shadow doesn't adhere to social niceties. It articulates its meaning directly, but is its preferred conduit. However, this is where the word but becomes particularly insidious. This linguistic eraser isn't limited to delivering criticism. It cunningly conceals itself within promises too. A composite example, based on frequently observed patterns, makes this abundantly clear. Someone tells you, "I'll help you, but I'm really busy right now." What is the true implication? It unequivocally means no, they will not help you. The mention of being busy is merely a convenient excuse. The genuine message resides solely after the but. They've already decided against helping and are utilizing the first half of the sentence to alleviate their own guilt. This isn't mere conjecture. This is the modus operandi of the unconscious. Jung demonstrated that every utterance reveals an internal conflict. The conscious mind yearns for approval, strives to present a favorable image, and seeks to avoid discord. Conversely, the unconscious mind is brutally candid. It disregards social acceptance and prioritizes self-preservation. The word but signifies the precise point where these two mental forces collide. The persona delivers a pleasing sentiment, but the shadow intervenes, stating, "Here's the truth." The profound power of this word lies in its automatic nature. Most individuals are entirely oblivious to their use of it, believing they are being judicious or diplomatic. Yet, the unconscious operates outside these conventions. It masterfully smuggles truth past the persona's defenses. The word but acts as its delivery truck. Reflect on how many times you hear it in a single day, in meetings, during arguments, throughout casual conversations. Each instance, it performs the same function, instructing you to disregard the preceding statement and concentrate on what follows. The but is a definitive signal flare. Your unconscious is alerting you that the true message begins here. Once you start actively listening for it, you will be astounded. People constantly deploy it to disguise their actual intentions, and now you will identify it every single time. If but expunges the past, then our next word has the power to diminish you. The second word is just. This word seems utterly benign. It sounds polite, even genial. Yet, it is arguably one of the most perilous words in our lexicon. Just is the ultimate minimizer. It shrinks perceptions, making actions appear far less significant than they truly are. And here's the insidious trick. It makes you smaller too. Pay close attention to how people deploy it. "I was just joking. I just wanted to help. I'm just saying what's really happening." In each case, the speaker attempts to trivialize their action, implying it was inconsequential. But why would they do this? Because, at a deeper level, they recognize the gravity of their actions. They know they overstepped a boundary, and the word just is their desperate attempt to mitigate the perceived damage, hoping you won't become upset. Jung meticulously addressed this exact behavior when elucidating the dynamics of the persona and shadow. The persona desires to appear harmless and avoid culpability, while the shadow is the actual instigator of harm. When the shadow is exposed, the persona instinctively panics and initiates a cover-up. The word just serves as this very cover-up. It's the persona's plea, "What I did wasn't that bad," when in reality, it absolutely was. Let's examine a narrative illustration that vividly demonstrates this psychological mechanism. Consider a case where someone insults you. When you react, they immediately retort, "I was just joking." What does this truly signify? It means they harbored the intent to insult you. They meant their words, but they wish to evade the ensuing consequences. The just becomes their convenient escape hatch. It masterfully shifts the blame onto you. Suddenly, you are the problem. You can't take a joke. You're too sensitive. The insult was genuine and intentional, but the just makes it your fault for reacting. This pattern frequently emerges in psychological observations concerning conflict avoidance. Or ponder this composite example, based on prevalent boundary violation patterns. A friend unexpectedly appears at your home. You're busy, tired, and in no mood for company. They greet you with a smile and declare, "I just wanted to say hi." Sounds endearing, doesn't it? But what transpired? They completely disregarded your boundaries. They didn't inquire about your availability or whether it was a suitable time. They arrived because their desires superseded your needs. And the word just is their tactic to make this boundary infringement seem innocuous, as if it should cause you no bother whatsoever. Jung would characterize this as shadow behavior cloaked in a persona costume. The shadow inherently disrespects boundaries, it takes what it desires. Yet, the persona cannot acknowledge this truth, so it employs just to render the violation small and seemingly benign. Here's the truly painful aspect. We constantly do this to ourselves. How many times have you claimed, "I'm just tired," when you were on the verge of emotional collapse? Or, "I just need a minute," when you desperately required an entire day? We utilize just to diminish our own needs, because we've been conditioned to believe that needing things is inherently selfish. The shadow, however, is keenly aware of our exact requirements, but the persona prevents us from articulating them aloud. So, we append just to shrink ourselves, making our needs easier to overlook. And the most dangerous implication arises when someone uses just with you. They are implicitly asking you to override your gut instincts. They are urging you to pretend that nothing significant occurred, or that it was unimportant. But your shadow knows better. Your unconscious registered the insult. It recognized the boundary breach. It felt the violation. And when you permit someone to minimize that experience with just, you ultimately betray your own truth. The word just perpetrates an even greater disservice. It fundamentally alters the power dynamic within a conversation. When someone uses just, they subtly position themselves as reasonable and portray you as overreacting. They frame their action as minuscule, while your response appears disproportionately large. This is unadulterated manipulation, the shadow's way of controlling the narrative to ensure the persona remains unblemished. And it works precisely because most of us are prone to self-doubt. We second-guess our own emotions, fretting that we might be overly sensitive. But sensitivity is not the issue. The true problem is that someone crossed a line, then deployed just to convince you that it never happened. Jung would identify this as shadow projection at its most refined. The individual causing harm effectively projects their own guilt onto you. You are then left to bear the burden of their inappropriate behavior, and the word just serves as the insidious instrument that facilitates this transfer. This brings us to the third and arguably most deceptive word, the validator. This word is honestly, or actually. On the surface, it appears to add emphasis, suggesting a strong desire for you to believe the speaker. But here's the critical catch. People who are genuinely telling the truth have no need to preface it. They simply state the truth. The moment someone interjects honestly or actually, they are engaging in what Jung termed overcompensation. They are trying too hard, exerting excessive effort to persuade you. And that very exertion, that's the shadow revealing itself. Consider it carefully. If someone is being honest, why the need to declare honestly? If something is genuinely true, why append the word actually? These words are blaring red flags, waving directly in your face. They signify the persona experiencing a real-time breakdown. The speaker is so desperate for your belief that they add extraneous weight to their words. But that added weight, ironically, is proof that something is amiss. Jung believed that when the persona strains too hard to maintain its illusion, the shadow is on the verge of breaking through and honestly or actually represent the final defense before the truth spills out. Let's examine a narrative illustration from therapeutic case studies. Consider a scenario where someone says to you, honestly, "I didn't mean to hurt you." What is truly unfolding here? If their intention genuinely wasn't to cause harm, a simple, clear apology followed by moving forward would suffice. However, the word honestly introduces a seed of doubt. It subtly implies that, on some level, they did intend to cause pain, or at the very least, they were fully aware their action would inflict it and proceeded regardless. The shadow possesses the complete truth, the persona is frantically attempting to conceal it, and honestly is the very manifestation of that scramble. Or consider this composite example based on workplace dynamics. We clearly observe this dynamic in the story of a coworker who tells you, "Actually, I think your idea could work." Why the inclusion of "actually"? Because their initial, unvarnished instinct was rejection. They disliked your idea. They genuinely believed it wouldn't succeed. But something shifted their perspective, perhaps social pressure, office politics, or the realization that disagreement would reflect poorly on them. So now, they are feigning support. The shadow had already dismissed the idea. The persona is now engaged in damage control, and actually is the telltale crack appearing in the mask. Jung labeled this a persona breakdown, the precise moment when the mask falters and the unconscious subtly leaks into view. Individuals using honestly or actually are often in the midst of such a breakdown. They yearn for you to believe them, yet they struggle to fully believe themselves. And that underlying doubt, that internal hesitation, is the shadow making its presence known. What renders validator words so strikingly transparent is how unmistakably obvious they become once you're aware of the pattern. They are akin to neon signs unequivocally pointing toward deception. Yet, we frequently miss them because we aren't conditioned to listen for such nuances. We often hear what we wish to hear. We extend the benefit of the doubt, projecting our own inherent honesty onto others. And this is precisely what they are banking on. The person using honestly or actually can often sense that their words aren't resonating as intended. They perceive the budding doubt. They feel resistance forming. Consequently, they append the validator, attempting to force conviction. But, ironically, all it achieves is making the underlying falsehood more conspicuous to anyone truly paying attention. Here's a crucial insight most people fail to grasp. We disregard these three words because we desperately desire to be liked. We want to believe that others harbor good intentions. Jung referred to this as shadow projection in reverse. We project our own honesty, kindness, and noble intentions onto other individuals. And when they employ but just or honestly, we instinctively formulate excuses. We rationalize, telling ourselves, "Oh, they didn't mean it that way." We minimize these glaring red flags because confronting them clearly would compel us to face uncomfortable truths. And truth is inherently challenging. Truth implies someone has lied to us, manipulated us, or transgressed our boundaries. Truth demands action, setting a boundary, initiating a difficult conversation, perhaps even walking away. Most people, however, would rather avert the truth than contend with such discomfort. But Jung would impress upon you a profound truth. Every time you disregard the truth, you betray your own shadow. You silence the intrinsic part of yourself that instinctively comprehends what is genuinely happening. And the more you suppress it, the more vehemently it screams for attention. It manifests as persistent, inexplicable anxiety, as resentment that steadily accumulates, or as that persistent nagging sensation in your gut that something is amiss, yet you cannot pinpoint it. That feeling, that is your unconscious diligently striving to protect you. It is your shadow imploring. Listen to the words. Pay attention to the slips. Do not ignore what you are hearing. Your body knows when something is off. Your gut detects deception. But your conscious mind often persuades you to ignore these signals, because acting on that knowledge is arduous. It necessitates confrontation. It demands change. It requires acknowledging that someone you trusted is not who you perceive them to be. So now you are privy to all three words, but just, honestly, the eraser, the minimizer, the validator. These are the trapdoors Jung meticulously studied for years. They represent the precise moments when the unconscious seizes control, allowing truth to escape. Once you begin actively listening for them, you will hear them incessantly, in your relationships, at your workplace, within your family, and even within your own thoughts. But here's the seldom discussed aspect. What if you are the one habitually using these words? What if your own shadow has been inadvertently leaking truth, and you've never even noticed? This is where authentic personal growth truly commences. We devote so much energy to analyzing others that we neglect to turn that perceptive gaze inward. Jung posited that genuine transformation occurs when we cease projecting our shadow onto others and begin the arduous process of integrating it within ourselves. This demands posing uncomfortable questions. Do you utter but when attempting to soften criticism? Do you say just when diminishing your own needs? Do you use honestly when striving too hard to be believed? If your answer is affirmative, do not panic. This isn't a failure, it's an invaluable opportunity. It is your unconscious precisely pinpointing where the vital inner work needs to happen. Because these words themselves aren't the fundamental problem, they are symptoms.
They reveal the chasm between the person you pretend to be and the person you authentically are. The wider that gap, the more you rely on these words. But as you diligently work to bridge that divide, something extraordinary unfolds. You require them less and less. You cease erasing with but, you stop minimizing with just, you stop validating with honestly. The more you integrate your shadow, the more inherently honest you become, not just with others, but fundamentally with yourself. This is the essence of what Jung termed individuation, the process of becoming whole. It means bringing the unconscious into conscious awareness, embracing every facet of yourself, even the parts you might despise. And that is undeniably terrifying work. For it entails confronting instances where you manipulated someone with but, acknowledging times you trivialized someone's pain with just, and facing moments where you lied and disguised it with honestly. But it also ushers in an unparalleled freedom, a genuine freedom, because once you cease concealing yourself from your shadow, you no longer require these words. You can articulate your meaning directly, without needing to soften it. You can be truthful without announcing it. You can express your needs without diminishing them. And that is when authentic communication blossoms. That is when profound, genuine connection truly manifests. So, what course of action should you take when you perceive these words from others? First, and critically, do not call people out. Avoid initiating conflicts. Do not accuse someone of deceit simply because they said honestly. That entirely misses the objective here. The true purpose is to observe, to listen with acute awareness, and to discern emerging patterns. Because once you distinctly perceive the pattern, the truth reveals itself. You see who someone authentically is, not merely the persona they are projecting. And that knowledge is immense power. It grants you the power to safeguard yourself, to establish meaningful boundaries, and to gracefully disengage when necessary. But it is also the power to forge deeper connections. Because when you relinquish projecting your own inherent goodness onto people, you begin to perceive them as they genuinely are, shadow and all. And that is where authentic connection truly thrives. Not in the persona, not in the mask, but within the messy, intricate truth of our collective human experience, beneath the performance. Jung referred to this as conscious connection, the capacity to witness the unconscious at play without fear, to comprehend that everyone possesses a shadow, including you. And the ultimate goal was never to eradicate the shadow, which is an impossibility. The goal is integration, owning it, accepting it, and preventing it from inadvertently leaking out through words you don't even realize you're speaking. This represents an advanced form of emotional intelligence. It differentiates those who merely drift through superficial relationships from those who cultivate deep, authentic bonds. For authentic connection necessitates seeing truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It requires hearing but just and honestly without flinching or looking away. Here then is your final lesson. True character is not discovered in what people say when they are striving to impress you. It is found in the slips, the subtle cracks, the precise moments when the persona fractures and the shadow surfaces. It is revealed in but just and honestly. These moments offer an unfiltered glimpse into who someone truly is. And if you are paying attention, you will never again be caught off guard. You will anticipate someone's desires before they even complete their sentence. You will recognize deceit, even when accompanied by a smile. You will instinctively know when to trust and when to retreat. This is not cynicism. It is heightened consciousness. This is the core teaching Jung devoted his life to. The unconscious is perpetually communicating. The only remaining question is whether you are truly listening. So here's what I implore you to do, starting immediately. Pay attention. Listen not just to what people say, but to how they say it. Notice the but, the just, the honestly, and, crucially, notice when you use them too. Because the more conscious you become, the less you will need these words. The less you will feel compelled to hide behind your persona. The more you will be able to present your complete self, shadow included. And when you achieve that, everything will profoundly shift. Your relationships will deepen, your boundaries will solidify, your instincts will sharpen. You will transform into someone who perceives truth, not because you are paranoid or suspicious, but because you are finally awake. And that, in its essence, is individuation, the transformative journey of becoming who you authentically are,
rather than who you believe you should be. It is arguably the most challenging work you will ever undertake, but it is also, without question, the most vital. Because, ultimately, the only person you can truly integrate with is yourself. The only person capable of making you whole is you.
And that profound work begins with listening. Listening to others. Listening to yourself. Listening to the words that inadvertently escape when the persona cracks and the shadow speaks. Those words are your infallible guide. They illuminate where inner work remains to be done. They reveal where you are still concealing, still deceiving, still pretending. And they illuminate the path forward toward becoming fully conscious, an individual who sees truth and embraces it without fear, an individual capable of integrating their own shadow and, in doing so, empowering others to do the same.